Hi, it's Eitan Pinsky at Pinsky Mortgages, and we have
Ben Kay with McDonald Realty.
Well, thanks for coming, Ben. Today we're going to talk about all things downtown. Ben, you're a residential realtor in downtown.
I am.
Well, tell us, what is your favorite restaurant or two?
There's more than that, but I've had to narrow it down. Number one always is Nightingale, which is the Hawksworth Group in Cole Harbour.
Okay.
Amazing place. It's all family style. And then Maxine's is an amazing place for happy hour and also just brunch.
Maxine's. Okay, so where's Maxine's?
It's newer. It's at Burrard, close to Harwood Street. It's a kind of corner of between downtown and English Bay.
Okay, and you promised to take me to the second one because I've never been there. Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
For happy hour.
For happy hour, okay. So I know that you had a license plate named Condos.
I did.
And you no longer do?
So I gave it up recently. It's been retired, but yes, I had vanity plates because I specialize in condos, strata.
And so now you gave it up because...
My driving's horrible and I don't want people to know.
That's a really good answer. I don't have a vanity plate either. One of the things that we always want to know about in downtown are, what are the great neighborhoods? If somebody was going to buy and they were going to live there, are there neighborhoods that are more specific to families? Are there more neighborhoods specific to professionals? What would you say is a neighborhood that's family-oriented?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I always ask my clients, like, instead of putting themselves in the box, it's more so what do they enjoy, right? So so families usually want something with more access to parks, maybe something a little quieter. Safety is something people think about as well.
Is downtown safe?
It is safe. Yeah, it is safe. There are pockets where you're going to have more thoughts about safety. Absolutely. But generally, yes, downtown, like the rest of Vancouver, is a safe place, which is why it's desirable. But what I would share with my clients is, what do you enjoy? So if you like access to parks, maybe you'll end up in the West End. If you like, an active scene outside your door, maybe you'll be, more in downtown core. Or if you really enjoy, restaurants, access to transit, Yaletown's a great spot. And then the nice thing is that there's access to nature almost everywhere you go downtown.
Yeah, within like 2 or 3 blocks.
That's right.
Parking is pretty bad downtown. Do you have any advice for people who have cars?
Yeah, if you have cars, buying with parking is pretty important. However, at the cost and value of parking, some of my clients now are deciding to be okay with homes that don't come with parking. Those will cost $50,000 to $60,000 less.
Wow. Okay, so
it's a lot of money.
A house with a parking stall, or a parking stall, is worth about $50,000 to $60,000.
About that much. Yeah.
My goodness.
So if you have a car, and maybe if you only intend on being in the apartment for, 3 or 4 years, if you're renting for $150 a month, sometimes the math actually doesn't exceed the value of the stall. Right?
That makes sense. Cool. So Ben, when it comes to properties, I know a lot of people purchase things not just for today, but they're looking for the future as well.
That's right.
Are there specific areas or things that you can tell somebody about purchasing for future value?
Yeah.
Do people ask you, are there specific areas that will increase more than others, or... Yeah. What do people say there?
Yeah, there's 2 parts. There's the criteria of the property itself, and then the maintenance part as well.
Maintenance
of the building.
Okay.
Because you're buying into a building, and you don't just own the condo, but the common assets as well, right? So in terms of long-term value, obviously in the last few years, we all know work from home space has become really important. So you can buy a smaller space. It just has to have dual functionality. Maybe it doesn't actually even have a den or a flex space for an office, but it's got a good layout where you can fit in a working space that can tuck away during the day, during evenings and weekends, whatever, as well. So layout is really important, as well as maintenance of a building. A lot of the buildings downtown now are getting to be 20 to 30 years old, and that's like the sweet spot for when a building's maintenance schedule has to become more aggressive. And you see this all the time when you're reading and reviewing strata documents.
Yeah, we see it. So I guess what Ben's trying to say is large strata assessments. So my wife and I actually had to pay $143,000 just our units to rain screen the building.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And so when we're looking at properties, specifically ones that are 20 or 30 years old, like you're saying, that it's time that the depreciation report basically says that they need to do a lot of fixes.
Yeah.
Are you steering people away from those properties, or are they I've seen that a lot of them have lower price points, but there's going to be an assumption that people have to spend money in the future.
Yeah. You're helping me answer the question there. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
And to add to it is, I'm not steering my clients away. What we make sure is our clients are completely and fully informed. What I do make sure, though, is that the building is performing adequately and within a comparable range as to what it should be doing at its age, right? So, there's always going to be buildings at the far end of the spectrum who maybe really deferred their maintenance and now are in big trouble. We're going to avoid those. But buyers should expect there's going to be maintenance in their property. Just like when you own a detached house, right? You have to maintain that property. With a condo, you have to do the same. It's just in a condo. It's not just your decision.
It's everybody else's decision. From my experience, it's much more expensive when you're in a condo.
Yeah.
2 questions, follow up. One is, how come downtown is so coveted compared to other places in the Lower Mainland?
Yeah.
And the second question is, are you seeing any wind-ups? I know there's been a couple, but not very many. So I guess the first question is, why downtown? Why do people like downtown in general?
Well, it ties into your second question because, land downtown is sparse. It's a very built-up area and different in Vancouver from many other cities. I was just traveling in the US in the South for a conference. Is that our downtown is incredible, and we forget about that until we leave sometimes, because it's a very mixed-use environment, and it's a great example of it too. So you've got not just office spaces, but you have residential, you've got parks, and we've got this incredible seawall, access to nature.
Groceries, you can basically live downtown.
It's a very desirable place to be, and if you live downtown, you're not very car or transit dependent if you work downtown as well. So that's something that's really appealing to a lot of people, and of course, it's such a stunning, beautiful setting. So I think that's from the outside in what people see about downtown. And then that leads to, you mentioned wind-ups. Because downtown is pretty much fully developed, developers can't just buy bare land. There isn't really any downtown. So what they have to do is approach older buildings and see if they can convince those buildings to sell to them so that they can then repurpose those properties into larger development.
Do you see a lot of those happening downtown, or is it
There's a fair amount. I wouldn't say that it's a lot, but it is happening. It's predominantly happening in the West End. The city passed a new plan some years ago, I believe it was 2016, which allowed for higher density in pockets of the West End. And the West End is one of the older, more mature neighborhoods in downtown Vancouver. So we have been seeing it there. It's not something you can always really count on. I wouldn't suggest my clients to buy something with the hopes of getting the windfall of an offer from a developer, but it is happening. Yeah.
Cool. One last thing that you could tell our listeners and watchers about downtown. Is there anything that you'd say, this is something that comes to mind, I want people to know about this of downtown?
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot. There's probably quite a few things. I would say that downtown, even though it looks like it's fully built out, I think it's still a baby in comparison to what it's going to be when we look back at it in 15, 20 years from now. There's a lot of development happening. I think you're going to see a big transformation with a lot of these older properties. And I think downtown Vancouver is always going to be an attractive place, both for people who want to live in downtown, but also for investors and also for newcomers into our city. So, if I had the ability to invest in downtown Vancouver, I would definitely consider doing so.
In condos or
in condos,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. You'll be able to reach Ben at his digits below. I'm Eitan Pinsky. It was nice to see you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Take care.